What if I told you there's one simple, habit-tone, powerful shift that could completely transform your life? Professionally, personally, and even financially. A habit so influential that it's been the unshakable foundation behind the success of legends people who shaped industries, Bible or grads, or world, older, in Beale, changed cultures and rewrote history. Now here's the best part. You already have everything you need to start. Right here, right now. That habit? It's self-education. Now, don't confuse it with schooling. In fact, most people stop learning the moment they walk out of the classroom. The textbooks close, the lectures end, and slowly, without even realizing it, they fall behind. Because while they pause, the world does not. Technology evolves. New challenges rise. And those who stop learning get left behind. But not you. You're here because something inside you wants more. You're tired of feeling stuck, tired of wondering why others seem to move ahead while you stay in place. And maybe, just maybe, you're ready to take control. You're ready to start investing in the one asset that never loses value on your mind. Self-education isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's the habit that will shape your thinking, elevate your decisions, and unlock opportunities that once felt out of reach. And the beauty? You don't need fancy degrees or endless hours. What you need is a commitment to growth, a promise to yourself that you will learn every single day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. But let's get real. Learning can feel overwhelming. Where do you even begin? That's where clarity comes in. Before any journey begins, you need to know where you're headed. Self-education is no different. Set clear, intentional goals. Don't wander through podcasts, articles, and YouTube videos without direction. Ask yourself, what knowledge will change my life right now? Is it learning to manage your money better, mastering a language, understanding leadership or marketing? Once you define what matters most, everything changes. Clarity gives your learning purpose. It transforms I should learn more into I will master this skill by this date. And that power of setting a vision is what separates wishful thinking from actual transformation. Now here's the next step. Break your goal down. Big dreams are exciting, but they can also be paralyzing. The trick? Divide them into small, manageable actions. If your goal is to speak Spanish, start with 5 new words a day. Watch a short video. Listen to one podcast episode. Those small wins build momentum, and momentum is where motivation lives. And remember, goals don't need to be rigid. Growth is a living thing that changes, evolves. Maybe you'll start learning to code and discover you actually love UI design. Or maybe you realize your true passion isn't marketing, it's storytelling. That's not failure. That's progress. The key is to start moving, even slowly. Because once you do, the fog clears and your path reveals itself. But goals mean nothing without consistency. And that's where most people fall off. And they get excited for a few days. Then life gets busy. Work pile up. Motivation fades. And the habit dies before it ever had a chance. But not this time. This time, you're building something sustainable. You're creating a daily learning routine that fits into your life, not the other way around. You don't need 3 hours and a perfect setup. You need commitment. 30 focused minutes a day is enough to change your life. Think about it. We all waste time. We scroll endlessly. We wait in lines. What if, just once a day, you reclaimed that time, used it to read a chapter, watch an educational video, or reflect on a new idea. You don't need more time. You need more intention. Pick a time that works for your early mornings, lunch breaks, quiet evenings. Make it sacred. This is your time with your future self. Treat it like a non-negotiable meeting, because every time you show up, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And here's a secret. The more you show up, the easier it gets. What starts as effort becomes rhythm. Rhythm becomes identity. And soon, you won't have to force learning. It will feel like second nature because it is. That's the magic of showing up daily. It's not just about what you learn, it's about who you become. To make it even easier, prepare ahead of time. Keep your book next to your bed. Bookmark your online course. Download a podcast. Eliminate the excuses before they have a chance to win. You're not waiting for motivation anymore. You're designing your environ for success. And yes, there will be days when you miss. That's okay. What matters isn't perfection, it's perseverance. Don't let one missed day turn into a lost week. Reset. Recommit. Keep going. Because every minute you spend learning is a deposit into your future. And this is just the beginning. Imagine waking up each day knowing that you're getting better, smarter, and more capable, simply because of one habit. A habit so powerful that it has shaped the lives of some of the most successful people in history. And the best part is you already have everything you need to start it today. This habit is self-education, the intentional daily practice of learning and growing on your own terms, while most people stop learning after school believing their education ends the moment they leave a classroom. The truth is the world is constantly evolving. And if you are not learning, you're falling behind. Industries shift, technology advances, and opportunities appear and disappear faster than ever before. So if you're not actively learning, you're standing still in a world that never stops moving. Self-education gives you the power to adapt, to innovate, and to thrive. It's not just about gaining knowledge, it's about becoming someone who can handle challenges, solve problems, and seize opportunities in this journey. It all starts with setting clear goals, because without direction, your learning becomes scattered and ineffective. You might find yourself consuming random content without any real growth. But when you define exactly what you want to learn, whether it's mastering a new skill, understanding a concept, or improving in a specific area, everything changes. Your effort gains direction and purpose. And with that clarity, you begin to break big goals into smaller, manageable tasks, because small, consistent steps are what make big transformations possible. Instead of overwhelming yourself with a massive ambition, you can focus on learning 5 new words a day, practicing 1 new skill, or completing a chapter from a book, giving yourself small wins that build momentum. And to make that growth consistent, you need a daily routine, because success in learning isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. Showing up every single day, even for just 20 or 30 minutes, creates a powerful habit that keeps your mind engaged and focused on progress. Think about your day and how many small moments slip away, lost to distractions or idle scrolling. Now imagine reclaiming just a slice of that time and dedicating it to your growth. That small change compounds over time, creating massive results. And to make it stick, choose a time that suits you, maybe early morning when the world is quiet, or before bed when you're winding down. And once you pick your time, treat it as non-negotiable, like an appointment with your future self. And then make it easier for yourself by preparing your materials in advance, so there are no excuses and no barriers between you and your goals, because the easier it is to start, the more likely you are to follow through. And when life gets busy, as it inevitably does, remember, the goal is not perfection, but consistency miss a day if you must, but always come back stronger the next. And as you commit to this, routine explore a variety of learning resources, because everyone learns differently, and the world is full of options, from books that offer deep insights to online courses that teach you practical skills to podcasts and documentaries that make learning feel effortless and engaging. Switching formats not only keeps things fresh, but also helps you absorb information in different ways, giving you a richer, more complete understanding. But don't just passively consume information. Transform it into something meaningful through active learning. Take notes in your own words, draw diagrams, explain what you've learned to someone else or even to yourself. Because when you teach, you discover what you truly understand and what you still need to work on testing yourself. Regularly helps reveal gaps in knowledge and strengthens memory, making everything you learn more solid and usable. And learning only becomes real when you apply it, taking what you know and turning it into action, whether that means trying a new skill, starting a project, or simply using your knowledge to make better decisions. The moment you apply what you've learned, it transforms from theory into ability, and that practical experience is where confidence is born. The more you act, the more competent and empowered you feel, and that creates a ripple effect of motivation and momentum. And to keep moving forward, take time to reflect on your progress, because growth requires awareness. Ask yourself, what have I learned? What am I struggling with? What changes can I make to improve? And by doing this regularly, you stay on track. Adjust your strategy and celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Maybe you finished a book, overcame a difficult topic, or simply stuck to your routine. Each of these is a sign of progress and deserves recognition. And behind all this is curiosity, the inner drive that fuels lifelong learning. It's the voice that says, I wonder how that works, or I've never heard of that before, let me dig deeper. Cultivating curiosity means welcoming the unknown, embracing new ideas. And Neighborbank, and as this journey unfolds, you will notice subtle shifts in the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you respond to the world around you. You'll find yourself asking better questions, making sharper decisions, and approaching problems with a mindset of growth instead of fear. Because when you invest in your own learning, you start to trust yourself more deeply. You no longer wait for permission to take action or for someone else to show you the way. You realize that you are fully capable of finding answers, creating solutions, and building the life you envision, and that power is liberating. It turns obstacles into challenges and failures into feedback. And no matter where you begin, whether you are just starting out or returning to learning after a long time, you are always one decision away from momentum, because effort compounds, and each day you choose to show up adds another layer to the foundation you are building. And this foundation becomes unshakable when it is reinforced by discipline and passion, the discipline to keep going even when motivation fades, and the passion that reminds you why you started in the first place and along the way. You'll encounter moments of doubt, of resistance, of frustration. These are not signs that you are failing, but proof that you are pushing beyond your comfort zone and into the territory where real growth lies. It's in those moments that your commitment is tested and strengthened, because every time you choose to keep going despite the discomfort, you build resilience, and resilience is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And as you develop this unshakable habit of learning, you begin to see opportunities where others see limitations. You begin to connect ideas that others miss, and you begin to take action while others hesitate. This is the edge that self-education gives you. It is not just about being more knowledgeable, it's about being more prepared, more adaptable, and more confident in any situation. And the beautiful truth is that the world is filled with endless things to learn, no matter how much you know. There is always more depth to explore, more connections to make, and more skills to sharpen. And that realization doesn't create pressure, it creates excitement, because you are not racing to finish, you are enjoying the process of becoming. And the longer you stay on this path, the more natural it feels. Learning becomes less of a task and more of a lifestyle. You find joy in discovery, pride in progress, and peace in knowing that you are always evolving. And this mindset ripples outward, influencing your relationships, your career, your creativity, and your sense of purpose. Others begin to notice your growth, your insights, your discipline, and they become inspired too, because your journey is not just personal, it's powerful. It sends a message to the people around you that growth is possible at any age, in any situation, and that success is not something you stumble upon, it's something you build piece by piece through the choices you make every day. And so as you move forward with your self-education, remember that every book you open, every video you watch, every note you take, every skill you practice, every idea you challenge, and every lesson you reflect on is shaping your future. It is giving you tools that no one can take away, and helping you become someone who doesn't just hope for a better life, but creates one through focus, through action, and through the unstoppable habit of learning. And as you continue this journey, you begin to realize that learning is not just a means to an end, but a lifelong companion that walks with you through every chapter of your existence, evolving with you as you change, growing with you as you grow, and offering you fresh insights with every new experience. Because the more you learn, the more you see the world not as a fixed reality, but as a playground of potential, a canvas where you are both the artist and the subject. And when you commit to learning, you give yourself permission to rewrite your story, not once, but endlessly, refining it, improving it, reimagining it with every lesson you absorb and every challenge you face. Because self-education is the ultimate form of self-respect. It says, I believe I am worth investing in. I believe I can become more than I was yesterday. I believe I can shape my own path. And that belief is where transformation begins. It is not always dramatic or immediate. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, barely visible, but it is always real, because change begins in the mind long before it is seen in the world. And the mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant there, where with intention and nurture with effort, will eventually bloom, whether that is confidence, creativity, discipline, or peace. And that is why every minute you spend learning matters. Every page you read, every mistake you make, and learn from every moment of clarity that comes after confusion is a seed planted. And you may not always see the fruit right away, but trust that it is growing. Trust that the work you are doing now is building a version of you that is stronger, wiser, more resilient, and more aligned with the life you want to live. And the beauty of this journey is that it doesn't require perfection, only presence, because the goal is not to know everything, but to stay curious, to stay humble, to remain open to what you don't yet understand, and willing to explore it without fear or judgment. Because the best learners are not those who never fail, but those who are never afraid to begin again, to pivot when necessary, and to see each failure not as the end of the road, but as a step along the path. And over time, you'll find that learning becomes your default response to uncertainty. Instead of shrinking away from the unknown, you lean into it, you start asking better questions, you seek out new perspectives, and you develop the kind of inner stability that doesn't rely on external validation. Because when you educate yourself, you become your own compass your own motivator, your own guide. And with that comes a quiet confidence, not the loud kind that demands attention, but the grounded kind that cannot be shaken, because it comes from effort, from growth, from experience. And the most empowering part is that no one can take that from you. It is yours, earned through your choices, built through your persistence, and strengthened every time you choose growth over comfort, and clarity over confusion, and action over avoidance. And soon you'll notice how this mindset spills into everything you do, how you communicate, how you work, how you treat others, and how you carry yourself through difficulty. Because learning is not something that stays in books or classrooms. It becomes a part of how you live. It becomes your edge in a world that is constantly shifting. And as the pace of change accelerates, those who keep learning will not just survive, they will lead. They will adapt, they will rise, because they are not waiting for certainty or permission or ideal conditions. They are creating their own momentum and moving forward despite the unknown. And that is where the real power lies, in your ability to keep evolving, not just for achievement or success, but for meaning, for purpose, for the fulfillment that comes from knowing that you are using your potential instead of wasting it. And that no matter what your background or circumstances might be, you always have the ability to learn something new today, to grow in some way, to become just a little better than you were yesterday. And when you stack those small wins day after day, month after month, year after year, you create a life that is not just successful by the world's standards, but deeply fulfilling on your own terms. And it all begins with a choice, a commitment to stay curious, to stay consistent, and to keep showing up for yourself. And that choice is available to you right now, no matter where you are or what you've been through. And with every lesson you learn and every step you take, you are moving closer to the version of yourself that is fully alive, fully engaged, and fully capable of creating the life you truly desire. Because self-education is not just about what you know, it's about who you become in the process. And you are becoming someone who doesn't just dream of change, but creates it, someone who doesn't just wish for more, but works for it, and someone who doesn't just talk about potential, but lives it every single day. And as this journey deepens, you begin to understand that the greatest breakthroughs often come after the hardest struggles, not because the pain is desirable, but because it wakes something up inside you, a sense of urgency, a refusal to settle, a realization that your time is too precious to be spent living a life that doesn't light you up. And that's when you truly begin to harness the power of self-education, not just as a tool, but as a torch, something that lights the way when the path ahead seems dark or uncertain. Because when you teach yourself to think critically, to reflect deeply, to explore fearlessly, you start to uncover strengths you didn't know you had, and suddenly the limits you once accepted begin to dissolve, because you're not bound by what you were told you could do or be. You're guided instead by what you know you're capable of, and this knowing doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from evidence, the evidence of your own effort, your own growth, your own unshakable commitment to becoming someone who creates value, someone who solves problems, someone who uplifts not just themselves but those around them. Because when you rise through your own learning, you show others that they can too, and that ripple effect is more powerful than any title, any diploma, any validation, because it's real, it's earned, it's living proof that change is possible for anyone willing to do the work and stay the course. And this kind of power isn't about controlling others or chasing status. It is about owning your story, rewriting it with intention, and choosing to be a conscious creator of your life instead of a passive character in someone else's script. And that shift changes everything: how you wake up in the morning, how you face setbacks, how you handle criticism, and how you move through the world with purpose. and peace, and while others wait for direction or permission or guarantees, you move forward with clarity, knowing that the only approval you truly need is your own. And that's where real freedom begins, because when you take full ownership of your growth, you stop blaming the world for what you lack and start building what you need within yourself. And over time, you come to see that knowledge is not just power, it is peace, it is preparation, it is the quiet strength that helps you stay grounded when life throws storms your way, because you've trained your minds to think, adapt, and persevere, and no one can take that from you. Not failure, not fear, not even time, because what you've built inside you becomes a foundation that nothing can shake. And from that foundation, you rise again and again, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Because you've seen what's possible when you commit fully to your own becoming, and every time you choose to keep learning, keep growing, keep evolving, you are not just moving forward, you are becoming unstoppable. And as you continue walking this path with intentionality, you start noticing shifts that once felt impossible becoming reality, not all at once, but in subtle, steady ways. The way your thinking sharpens, the way your confidence quietly grows, the way you now pause before reacting and choose to respond with clarity and calm, because you've spent time understanding yourself, training your mind, and tuning in to what really matters. And that internal change begins to reflect outward in how you speak, how you listen, how you carry yourself, and how you approach challenges. Because what used to trigger self-doubt now invites curiosity. What once seemed like obstacles now look like opportunities for learning and expansion. And it's in those moments that you realize the journey of self-education isn't just about becoming better at something, it's about becoming better at being you, more aware, more aligned, more authentic. And when you operate from that space, your energy changes and people notice, not because you're louder or flashier, but because there's something grounded about you, something resilient and focused and calm in the face of uncertainty. And that presence is magnetic, because in a world full of noise and distraction, someone who knows themselves, someone who thinks deeply and speaks with purpose, is rare and refreshing. And that's what makes your growth not just beneficial to you, but valuable to others, because your journey becomes a beacon, not through preaching, but through example, by showing what it means to lead yourself first before asking others to follow. And that self-leadership starts with a daily choice, the choice to keep showing up for your learning, for your vision, for your values, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one's watching, even when progress feels slow, because the consistency compounds and the effort echoes into every area of your life. And soon enough, the results begin to speak in ways words never could, the way you solve problems with more ease, the way you carry yourself into interviews, conversations, meetings, relationships with a quiet assurance that doesn't need to prove anything, because you've already proven it to yourself through the hours of reading, practicing, reflecting, through the countless small decisions that no one sees, but that shape everything you become. And that kind of growth creates momentum, a sense of upward motion that carries you through difficult days, because you've built a system of self-trust, and that system is fueled not by motivation, which fades, but by discipline, which stays, and structure, which supports you when emotions waver. Because this is more than a habit now. It's a lifestyle, a mindset, a standard you hold yourself to, and from that standard new doors open, not always in dramatic ways, but sometimes in the form of a new opportunity, a chance meeting a bold idea that you finally feel ready to act on. And with each step you take, you stretch your comfort zone just a little bit more, and what once scared you now challenges you, and what once challenged you now excites you, because growth becomes addictive in the best way, not in the sense of never being satisfied, but in the joy of continuous evolution, the kind that honors both how far you've come and how much more you're capable of becoming. And along the way, you'll find that the more you grow, the more generous you become with your knowledge, your time, your energy, because you know what it takes. And you remember what it felt like to begin, and you want others to feel that same spark, that same possibility, that same sense of agency over their lives. Because once you realize that learning can be chosen, not assigned, that knowledge can be applied, not hoarded, and that growth can be daily, not occasional, you'll never want to go back to who you were before, because you've seen the light that lives in your own effort, and nothing external can replace that. No title, no approval, no shortcut. Because real transformation isn't transactional, it's earned through persistence, through presence, through the quiet power of showing up day after day. And that's what makes this journey sacred, not because it's glamorous, but because it's real and raw and deeply personal. And in the process, you don't just build skills, you build character. You build habits that outlast trends, you build wisdom that guides you in moments of doubt, and you build a future that's not just successful on paper, but meaningful in your heart. And all of it begins with a decision to start to pick up the book, to press play on the course, to ask the question, to try the thing even if you're unsure, and then to keep going, not because you have to, but because you want to, because something in you refuses to stay stagnant when you know you're meant for more. And that fire, the one that burns quietly with purpose, that's what will carry you forward again and again and again.